distance and midpoint. Normally you're going to see these associated with a formula. They'll talk about the distance formula and they'll talk about a midpoint formula, but I'm not really interested in you guys learning those. I would like rather to just go over kind of like what these mean and how to use them. So if you have to use them at some point, you understand the ideas behind them and you can kind of generate the formula on your own. It's really just using I think logic and common sense for midpoint and using the Pythagorean theorem to find the distance between 2 points. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at one. Here we have 2 points. Okay, typically they'll say something like you want to find the distance between 2 things. Okay, this is a lot of times helpful when you're looking at things on a map. I've used it many times when I've been biking in Chicago and I'm on an angled street and I want to kind of just estimate how far something is. You can actually use the addresses in Chicago to figure out how far distances are north and south and east and west. We can do an example like this in class tomorrow. In fact, that gives me an idea. Maybe we'll do that in class tomorrow. So I'll explain more about that later. Okay, so let's just go ahead and graph these. What we're going to do is we're going to start with -4, -1, right? So I'm going to move 4 to the left, and then I'm going to go down 1. And then I'm going to go and take this, and I'm going to move over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then we'll go up 4. Okay, and so there are my 2 points. And what I want to do here is I want to find what is the distance from between these 2 points. Okay, so we'll just go ahead. We'll draw a line between these. We'll make it in, I guess we'll make it in red. Okay, so we'll make a line in between these, and I want to know how far is it from one point to another. Okay, well, in order to do that, we're going to go ahead and we'll just make a right triangle. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the distance up and down. Okay, we'll look at the distance going up and down, so going from here up to here, and then we'll go ahead and we'll make a right triangle and we'll find this distance. Okay, and really we can just count. All right, we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, so this is going to be 5 units, and this one then is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 units, and then we use this to find the distance. Okay, in fact, let's go ahead. We can call this point A, and we'll call this point B, and so we're going to go from A to B. Okay. So how far is it from A to B? All right. Well, again, what you can do is here is we could look at this and we could say, okay, in the x direction, right, from -4 to 7. Okay, from -4, I got to go over 4 to get to 0 plus 7. That's going to be 11 places. And then from -1 to 4, I'm going to have to go up 5 places. Okay, and that's going to generate your 2 legs of your triangle. So 5, right? That's the -1 to 4. Here's my -1 going up to 4. That gives me 5. And then from -4 over to 7, here's -4 over to 7. That's my 11. And there we go. You have a right triangle. And so we can use a squared, right? We can use the Pythagorean theorem to find c squared. So we'll get 5 squared plus 11 squared is equal to c squared. So we've got 25 plus 121 is equal to c squared. So that gives us what? 146 is equal to c squared. So let's see. I don't think, let's see, if we do this, if we take the square root here, right, and square root, we get c is equal to radical 146. I'm not seeing any perfect squares in there. Let's see. If I divide by 2, I get 2 times 73. 73 is prime, so that's not going to work. So we get c is equal to 146, and this is going to be about, right, if we had to estimate, this will be about 12. Okay? In fact, let's go ahead. If we typed it into the calculator real quick. Let's see. Let me get a calculator up. Do a calculator, we'll do 146, we'll take the square root of that. All right, so 146 square root, 12.08, so we'll do 12.1 units, okay? And there you have it. So the distance from A to B is about 12.1 units, okay? Well, what I want you to do now is let's talk about what will the midpoint be, okay? So I want to know, well, what's halfway between A and B? All right, what's halfway between A and B? Well, if I look at this, if this is 5, right, then if I go in, half of that is 2.5. So if I go up 1, 2.5, okay, so this would be the midpoint line there, okay. And then I'm going to look at this as 11, so halfway between these, half of that is 5.5. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5. So coming down there. So this is my midpoint. Okay. Well, that midpoint looks like it's at 1.5. So we'll call it 1.5, comma 1.5. Okay, and that's one way you can do it. And you'll notice if you ever look up midpoint formula, basically what they do is they just add these, right? They say, okay, from x to here, right, the midpoint is the average. So to find the average of something, you add and divide by 2. So -4 plus 7 is going to equal 3. If you do 3 divided by 2, right, and then we do 3 divided by 2, that's equal to 1.5. Okay? Halfway in between. And you could do the same thing for this. -1 plus 4 is 3. 3 divided by 2, 1.5. And that's how we end up with this. All right? Hopefully this is making sense. Let's take a look at another one. Okay? Now, let's say we have these 2 points, and the blue one, -3, 6. Let's say this is point, we'll call this one point A. All right? We'll call this point A. And this one we'll say is the midpoint of A to B. And what I want to do is I want to find where is B, and then I want to find the distance from A to B, and then, well, we've already found the midpoint, okay? So we know that A is -3.6, or -3 comma 6, so let's go ahead and we'll plug that in here. 1, 2, 3, and then we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay? And then we'll take this one and we'll say, all right, well, this is at 1, -1, okay? So if we're thinking about this, the midpoint means it's halfway, okay? So if you think of it kind of like stairs, okay? For me to go down these stairs, I'm going to go from here, and then I'm going to go over this way, okay? So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I went down 7, okay? And then I went 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I went right 4. Kind of like slope. Interesting. So then let's just do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. That looks like my point B. Okay? So let's go ahead and we'll draw a line between these two. All right, we'll start here and we'll come all the way down to B. And there we have it. Okay? And it looks like it goes directly in the middle here. Okay? Let's count it again. Let's go. So let's see if we do this. If we go from A to B. In fact, now let's find the distance. Okay, let's find the distance between these 2 points. All right, so let's do this. We'll go ahead and we'll go take this over to here. All right, so we went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right, we went over 4, and that should make sense. From -3 to 1. All right, from -3 to 1, that goes up 4. So to get to point B, we're going to go up 4 again. So that gets us to 5. And then from 3 to -1, okay, that takes us down 7. So then we'll go down 7 again. Down 7. So -1 down 7, that'll be -8. And let's see if that's exactly where we are. Let's see. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Looks good to me. Okay, so then let's go ahead and find this distance. All right, so we know that this one was, if it went over 4 and over 4 again, that's going to be 8. And if it went down 7 and down 7 again, that's going to be 14. All right, so let's go ahead and solve. So we've got, let's do this in brown. A squared plus B squared is equal to C squared. Okay, and now we are finding C. Okay, that's the distance from A here to B. All right, so A squared is going to be, we'll say 8 squared plus 14 squared is equal to C squared. So we get 64 plus 196 is equal to C squared. So this is 260 is equal to C squared. Take the square root, so we know that C is equal to the square root of 260. Let's see, 260 is going to be 4 times 50. What is that? Let's see. Half of that is 130, half of it is 65. Okay, so that's going to be 2 radical 65 is equal to C. 65 factors to 5 times 13, so there's no more perfect squares in there. Yeah, this looks good. And if we wanted to do this one, let's see. If we did, we'll pull up the calculator here and go ahead and we'll do 2 times, oops, I don't think I had times. 2 times, let's clear everything. Let's do 2 times 65 square root. Oops, now we'll move times 2 equals, oh, what's going on here? Okay, we'll do this. We'll do 65 square root times 2 equals, there we go, 16.1. Okay, so this is going to be C is equal to about, right? I should do about 16.1 units. Okay, and there you have it. That's pretty much the whole thing. All right, like I said, you can use formulas. You can look it up, but in all reality, when it comes down to it, I just think that using common sense, using the Pythagorean theorem, understanding how points can move from place to place, I think you'll be totally fine. Okay, and I think it's just a little bit easier to remember. All right. What I want you to do is I want you to actually practice on Khan Academy. There's 2 activities that you can do, and they are Khan Academy on distance and Khan Academy on midpoint. Okay, I put links on the actual webpage, so you can just go ahead and click on the links. Go ahead and practice. Again, you might want to avoid logging in until you've gotten a little practice and make sure you do it. And then with the midpoint, make sure you read all the directions before you get going. Make sure you understand if you're trying to find the midpoint or if you know the midpoint and you're trying to find the other point. I made a couple mistakes with that, so just make sure you read the directions. Don't go too fast. All right, good luck, and we'll talk more about this in class tomorrow.